Hi, boys and girls. So we're going to continue reading My Father's Dragon. We're going to read chapter 2. And where we left off was the cat was telling how he went to the island of Tangerina. And while he was waiting to leave there, he was exploring around. He found Wild Island and he went to explore there. So that's where this chapter is going to start. It's going to describe Wild Island. And it's titled My Father Runs Away. So I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. Okay, let's see where it happens. My Father Runs Away, chapter 2. Wild Island is particularly cut into by a very wide, muddy river, continued the cat. This river begins near one end of the island and flows into the ocean at the other. And that's it. If you look at the map, here's the river. And it almost, like he says, cuts the whole island into two parts. Now let's find out why these animals are lazy. Now the animals there are very lazy and they used to hate having to go all the way around the beginning of this river to get to the other side of the island. It made visiting inconvenient and mail delivery slow. This is definitely fiction, right? Like animals getting mail. Particularly during the Christmas rush. Crocodiles could have carried passengers and mail across the river, but crocodiles are very moody and not the least bit dependable and are always looking for something to eat. They don't care if the animals have to walk around the river, so that's just what the animals did for many, many years. But what does all this have to do with airplanes? Asked my father, who thought the cat was taking an awfully long time to explain. Oh, you know what that must feel like when somebody's trying to tell you a story? You're like, all right, let's go. Be patient, Elmer, said the cat, and she went on with the story. One day, about 4 months before I arrived on Wild Island, a baby dragon fell from the low-flying cloud onto the bank of the river. He was too young to fly very well, and besides, he had bruised one wing quite badly, so he couldn't get back to his cloud. The animals found him soon afterwards, and everybody said, "Why, this is just exactly what we've needed all these years." Here's a picture of the dragon coming out of the cloud. Let's find out why they thought they needed him. They tied the big rope around his neck and waited for the wing to get well. That's not very nice. This was going to end all their crossing the river troubles. I've never seen a dragon, said my father. Did you see him? How big is he? Oh, yes, indeed. I saw the dragon. In fact, we became great friends, said the cat. I used to hide in the bushes and talk to him when nobody was around. He's not a very big dragon, about the size of a large black bear, although I imagine he's grown quite a bit since I left. He's got a long tail and yellow and blue stripes. His horn and eyes and the bottoms of his feet are bright red, and he has gold-colored wings. How wonderful, said my father. What did the animals do with him when his wing got well? They started training him to carry passengers, and even though he was just a baby dragon, they worked him all day and night, too, sometimes. They make him carry loads that are much too heavy, and if he complains, they twist his wing and beat him. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. He's always tied to a stake on a rope just long enough to go across the river. His only friends are the crocodiles, who say hello to him once a week if they don't forget. That's not really good friends. Really, he's the most miserable animal I've ever come across. When I left, I promised I'd try to help him someday, although I couldn't see how. The rope around his neck is the biggest, toughest rope you can imagine. With so many knots, it would take days to untie them all. Anyway, when you were talking about the airplanes, you gave me a good idea. Now, I'm quite sure that if you were able to rescue the dragon, which wouldn't be the least bit easy, he'd let you ride him most anywhere. Provided you were nice to him, of course. How about trying it? "Oh, I'd love that," said my father, and he was so angry at his mother for being rude to the cat that he didn't feel the least bit sad about running away from his home for a while. That very afternoon, my father and the cat went down to the docks to see about ships going to the island of Tangerina. They found out that a ship would be sailing the next week. So right away, they started planning for the rescue of the dragon. The cat was a great help in suggesting things for my father to take with him, and she told him everything she knew about Wild Island. Of course, she was too old to go along. Everything had to be very secret. So when they found or bought anything to take on the trip, they hid it behind a rock in the park. The night before my father sailed, he borrowed his father's knapsack, and he and the cat packed everything very carefully. He took, listen to this is pretty interesting, chewing gum, 24 pink lollipops, a package of rubber bands, black rubber boots, a compass, a toothbrush, and a tube of toothpaste, 6 magnifying glasses, a very sharp jackknife, a comb, and a hairbrush, 7 hair ribbons of different colors, an empty grain bag with a label saying cranberry, some clean clothes, and enough food to last my father while he was on the ship. I don't know about you. If I was going on a trip, except for the clothes and maybe some food, all this other stuff sounds very strange. Magnifying glasses, rubber bands, and lollipops. You thinking this is a little crazy? All right, let's go on. He couldn't live on mice, so he took 25 peanut butter jelly sandwiches and 6 apples because that's all the apples he could find in the pantry. When everything was packed, my father and the cat went down to the docks to the ship. A night watchman was on duty, so while the cat made loud, queer noises to distract his attention, my father ran over the gangplank, the piece of wood that you climb up to get from the dock onto the ship. He ran up the gangplank onto the ship, and he went down into the hold and hid among some bags of wheat. The ship sailed early the next morning. There. Oh boy. So he's going to go on an adventure, and he's going to go to the island of Tangerina. Now I kind of know why maybe it's called My Father's Dragon, right? I wonder if he's going to be able to rescue him, and what's he going to do about all those wild animals.